folks, it's Dave here with CigarNoise TV, and tonight we've got our very first repeat guest, Victor Nicolas of Chogui Cigars. Now, he's from the Dominican Republic, and I'm in Kuwait, and our Wi-Fi absolutely sucks. But if you bear with us, I promise this will be a memorable interview. And every week after we do these interviews, we have a meet and greet with our members. So be sure to download the CigarNoise app and stay tuned for more meet and greets.
Before I got into the cigar industry, my grandfather has I think I mentioned it before, he has a cigar which is made in Santiago, but it's more oriented to the tourism and gift shop. So it's your typical Connecticut wrapper, very mild cigar. But I've always been around the cigar business, maybe not the industry itself, but the business. But then when it comes to Victor, I'm a big geek when it comes to technology, and I used to work with Apple products and stuff. So they're one of my big inspiration when it comes to design and stuff. And I also worked in the psychology, mental health, especially on drug counseling. And I was just, I think before cigars, because I have to really mention this, I was a guy that was looking for something that I could make a job off and enjoy, be really like happy about it. And I was looking, tried in technology, mental health, and I liked a lot of the things there, but I just didn't feel complete like I do when I'm working with tobacco.
What's the Chogui story?
That's it's a great. Everybody's like, "What the hell is Choy?" Because you can't. A lot of people in the U.S. are like, "I can't even spell it out or anything." It's when I was probably late 2012, I said this is what I want to do. So I started visiting different factories and just like going to Tamboril, Santiago, around the tobacco industry, people that worked in it, reading blogs and everything. And Chogui comes from Chogui is a indigenous word for Tropis sarayaca, which is a bird, and there's a very famous folklore about it. It's a legend actually of a little Indian boy that used to talk with animals, and basically his mother used to tell him, "Don't go up a tree; you're gonna fall." He used to go up the tree and talk with the animals and contemplate nature. So one day his mother is out in the village, and the little boy, Indian boy, is up in the tree, and when he sees his mother's coming back, he rushes down, and he falls, and they say he died in his mother's arms. But in the moment he died, a Chogui bird, they call them Chogui because that's kind of what they think like. They sing like it sounds like Chogui Chogui. So they say his soul went into the a Chogui bird, and every day he'd go visit his mom. So that became a very popular folklore song, and then we had from the 70s and 80s a merengue version that my dad used to put on the way to school. And I remember it because I remember one time asking my dad, "What the hell is the Chogui?" And then that's when he kind of explained it. And it's like, if you pay attention to the lyrics, it pretty much explains everything. But I was a little kid. So to me, that is more a memory of like the whole family. I have three sisters. We used to go to school together. My dad would drive us. So it's a happy memory. So when I was looking into cigar factories and stuff, it just hit me. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna name it Chogui. Stuck with me, and all the a lot of the guys that I take feedback from that are in the industry, they're like, well, the first thing you got to say if you want to be in the American market is they got to be able to say it. But I'm like, you know what? I want to be original. If you go into a store and you say the cigar that has a really weird sideways band and it's chogi, chongi, choki, whatever you want to call it, it's all about at the same time to me it's like when let the cigar be the protagonist, like let the cigar smoking experience itself be the story, not the story behind the brand, like a lot of people do. Like I don't like even to market it as I'm a third generation cigar maker. No, not really. So that's how Chogui came to be. And then it's the fear of the bird, or fear of the fucking bird, which is a little bit more daring. It's just to me, it's just an expression of being small and having your path cut. Tried A lot of people have tried to cut my path short. So it was a message to the cigar industry that the bird is here, and right now he doesn't plan to go away.
What's your biggest success to date?
Being available in the U.S. market, like, because when I started back in 2014, that's when the first Chogui, the Primera Edición, which was a limited cigar, very limited, came out. It was just readily available in the Dominican Republic. I wasn't thinking about being in the U.S. market for the first 3 to 4 years. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna focus on using good Dominican tobacco and having a boutique brand being available in the DR, and just learn the ropes of the business. And 1 year later, I'm already in the U.S. market. The bird emoji, which is coming out, that's actually what I'm smoking, what we call the Papa Chogui. It actually, it came from the last time I was talking with you, where you said every time you see the emoji, you think about Chogui. So I'm like, I'm going to hijack it. And that's literally what we did. We put a meaner face on the bird, just like fear the fucking bird. But it's hijacked, man. I might get into legal trouble. I don't know. Cigars shipping to the U.S. this week, so maybe next time I'm in, I'll let you know if it was a good or a bad idea.
Talk to us about Chico Rivas, man. Every time I hear about this amazing factory, some people call it Top Secret Nest, some people call it Tabacaria 1844, other things, Manufactura de Rivas. He seems to be like the glue that holds it all together, and he's in everybody's timeline. So, how much of an impact did he have on you? Or, tell us a little bit about this gentleman.
I met Chico because of Campesino Cigar, Tabacaria 1844. So I'm really thankful for Edgar and the way he approached me. He was actually doing one of the first tastings for his cigar in Santo Domingo, and I told him that I've been traveling to Santiago looking for a factory that was small and where I could just like go and take learn the ropes, start from zero, and just learn a little bit of tobacco. And he welcomed him in. I'm telling this guy right now that I might be a future competition for him, and he's like, you know what? Come to the factory, come meet us. You can stay at my house. So I'm really grateful to Edgar, because he was the one that introduced me to Chico Rivas. And the thing with Chico is, Chico's a tobacco genius. Manufactura Rivas, which is actually the name of his factory, like it was they were keeping it in the low. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna call it the Top Secret Nest, because right now it's secret, and it's also a play. Like a lot of people want to hide out their factory and stuff, and this is the thing. If you come to Tamboril, or you've been here, you say Chogui, where is it made? And somebody will tell, oh, take a right, take a corner, and you'll see the factory. It's like a lot of people in the industry, they hide the factory. But if you go to Nicaragua, Esteli, Mana, the same thing here. If you go, you'll find out where it is. So it was kind of at the same time, a way of mocking a lot of like the people in the industry that want to keep it hidden. Just own up to it. Be sure of what you're making, and as a consumer, we appreciate the more transparency we have, because we really want to know the story behind the cigar we're smoking. So Chico's, to me, he's been like a father to me, and not only just a tobacco guy, because he's helped me out with a lot of things. And I actually was living in his house for 8 months now, and just being part of the factory from early in the morning to the late nights that we keep there learning tobacco. And we'd sit in the factory, smoke cigars, then we get home and light another cigar, and that's when you start talking about life. And I recently turned 31, Chico's 40, so those extra 10 years are worth good advice, not only in tobacco, in life itself. So Chico's like, I call him my tobacco father, but in this 8 months, he's like my stepfather or my Santiago dad, like I call him.
Besides the fucking bird, Rich wants to know what else do you fear, man?
I fear crazy gringos. No, I'm just kidding. Except fearing the fucking bird, I don't think I really fear anything right now. It's like when you live, you start realizing that sometimes fear is just it's in your head. So I was fearing the FDA. That was my biggest fear for the last 8 months. But the way I look at it now is that this is what I love, and you can't you're not gonna kick me out of it so easily. I'm not gonna give up. So that from being a fear, it's actually one of my moto driving forces right now. So
We see family first a lot from you, especially from your social media accounts. How has cigars affected your family?
like I told you, like my grandfather has a cigar brand, and even though he has a cigar brand, it's not like we have that cigar heritage. I'm Dominican, so I have tobacco in my blood. But at first, my family didn't really understand it, especially my father. Like we had a lot of falling out because when I had my first cigar, it's a boutique brand. It's just a cigar that I'm not. It's not a prostitute where I'm gonna put it in every corner, try to sell it. I'm trying to build a brand, so I only had to like tobacconists. I wasn't willing to like put it in gift shops and tourist zones because they just want to sell whatever they can win a lot of money from, or they can a lot of counterfeit. So I'm like, I don't want to have my cigars in shops like that. But my father just looked at the inventory and he's like, you have cigars there. Why aren't you selling them? And I'm like, you have to have a little faith. So we kind of had a dropping out for some time now, and that's one of the things where Chico really came in and helped me like understand that as a son, sometimes it's not about whether you're right or wrong. It's just being the bigger person and saying, you know what, we have our differences, but you're my father and I still love you. But now I think they're pretty proud of what Choi's come to, and one of the things they really enjoy about it is that the name comes from it, and a lot of the things we do, it, a lot of the things I do and we do come from the family. Like the inspiration for the name comes from the family moments, and then the Papa Chogui comes in a way. It's even though we hijacked the emoji, it's still me taking my hat off to my dad and everything he's taught us. I had a lot of my father. Not to get too personal, but I used to live in Santo Domingo, and my dad used to live here in Punta Cana, which used to be like a 5-6 hour drive. So I have 3 sisters. So our relationship was kind of, when I was growing up at first, kind of was very difficult because just being around so many women at the house, it was different. But as I got older, the sacrifices my dad has done, and just being able to walk, be an example just like he is, it's important. So to me, family always comes first. And one of the reasons you're seeing that lately is that actually on the last day of the IPCPR this year, I had to fly out on an emergency because my dad he was sick. He got the H1N1 flu. So he ended up having it was really bad where we had to fly him into the US, and it was a very difficult time where the doctors didn't know he was going to make it. And this is this thing. We, my relationship with my dad was pretty much like uh, indifferent the last year. And probably a month before the IPCPR, I was traveling into the US. Chico told me, you know what, make peace with him because you never know what's going to happen. So he broke bread and we started mingling again. But when I got the call, I was in Las Vegas, and my dad, it's like 2 days he had a flu. He's okay, and next thing you know, he's got all this machines hooked up, and he's in a coma. And that that was a it was a difficult moment, but at the same time, I had so many people that I've met through cigars, like be there for me when I was in Florida. I had like the first night where it was a thing where the doctor said, "This is minute by minute, not hours by hours." That's how serious it was. Like three cigar smoker friends of mine ended up at the hospital, and they spent the whole night with me. And it's like he's doing much better now, and it's just family comes first. No matter what you're doing, if you're in a business or whatever, and your family comes second, you're doing it wrong. And I'm telling you this because I try that, and no matter how I was building up Choy and it was doing good, but inside I was hurting, man. And now that it's like families first and my business is second, you can still do them both without being affected on a large scale. But the gratitude and I just feel a lot different, man. Just being able to put my family first. I'd tell you, but then I'd have to go fly my ass over there and kill you. But no, I'm just kidding. What's so special about the Habano 2020 is that it's actually a Cuban seed, but what makes it really special is that it's we have a lot of like Cuban seeds in the DR and Nicaragua, all around the world, but they're like um, they might be crossed over or genetically, they have these kind of words in English are a little bit harder than they are in Spanish, but they're just not as pure as what the Habano 2020 was a seed that we had here in the DR. And they took it to Cuba and they got that's one tobacco grower in the DR who grows it. And it's the original seed of another tobacco. And the name Habano 2020 is something they put on. And it's gotten a lot of interest from a lot of people. And then there's actually a lot of manufacturers that use it. They just don't call it Habano 2020 like we do. And that's one of the other things that we do. Like if you look up to I'm pretty transparent of the tobaccos we use because I'm confident that if anybody wants to do what we're doing, first of all, if somebody's taking the time to try to replicate the blend you're doing, then you're doing one hell of a job. And the other is that I told you I'm an avid cigar smoker. That's what I am. So when I'm smoking something, I want to know what it has and where it comes from, and just know its origins. So that's one of the specialties of that Habano 2020. A lot of people use it, but they don't really know where it comes from. Kind of a mystery. Right now, an average day in my life is it's pretty normal actually. Like maybe 2 months ago, before my dad got sick, an average day was literally waking up, being at the factory from 8 9 a.m. till 8 9 p.m. and then going back home and smoking more cigars and talking about tobacco and life. But right now, I moved back to Santo Domingo. My dad's still slowly recovering, so what I do an average day for me is waking up, drinking coffee with my father, sitting down with him, being emotionally there for him and my mother, and then I'll go visit a couple of shops in the DR. Um, I do a lot of social media, and I'm always reading on new cigars. I'm always studying the market. To me, it's like not only the blend themselves, just the branding and everything. So I dedicate at least an hour a day, probably between 11 to 12, where I'll sit, smoke a cigar, and just catch up on the cigar industry itself. And then in the afternoon, do my rounds, visit another shop or something, and sit at night with one of my best friends, which I mentioned. He's the designer, so we'll sit down and jot down some ideas because we're really small, but when it comes to creativity, something very special and about the brand. But it takes work. Like we sit down for hours just throwing out ideas and names and designs and just thinking about the next step.
If we were to roll out to the Dominican Republic and grab some of your cigars and then roll down the street to a restaurant or a bar, what types of drinks would you pair with your stuff?
Coffee, good, not your American brewing long cups of coffee, average Joe, Starbucks. No, no, a good espresso. with its nice crema to start off with the cigar, and then with rum. Any good Caribbean rum, which has this nice spiciness and hints of sugar cane in it. I think that goes fantastic with not only Chogui but all Dominican cigars.
What's next for Chogui, homie?
Rolling out the Papa Chogui, which is a very limited cigar. We only made around 8,000 of those cigars, and they're flying out this week. And we're I'm working on having a new size for the 277, maybe a 6x50. Toro might be a Bellicoso. We're not sure yet, but we pretty much have like the blend figured out. We're just figuring out what the next step is going to be with the FDA and having then I want to add a third size. So the Chogui, the 277 line has three sizes as the core sizes, and then I have something in the works with sun-grown Dominican wrapper that is, uh, if it comes out, it's going to be something very different, but at the same time, true to our origins, 100% Dominican, but very unique. Still can't reveal the name about that. We're in the legal process when it comes to that blend, but that's what the short future for Chogui. Adding up for the 077, having the Papacho we release annually, and the thing is that the Papa Choy is a blend with it aged for a year and a couple of months. So that's a cigar that when I want to release it next year, we're probably going to start making them by the end of December. That way they can rest for a year, because you can really tell the difference when you smoke a cigar, the same blend with 6 months and 12 months. That's if you're a avid cigar smoker, you'll tell the difference. As I've always said, to me, this is a pleasure. Like, I really enjoy getting to talk a little about my passion of what Chogui is to me, and just like knowing that there's people that are interested in hearing us out is it means the world to me. So I'm fortunate to be in the business, and I'm just grateful to have people like you and the CigarNoise community backing us up, and I'm just really grateful for the support you guys give us.